Okay, here we are. Culture currency, big news involving copper. So, as you know, we have a new administration here in the United States, and one of the things they're trying to do is become more efficient. And what do you know? These right here, these pennies, these cent coins, it takes 3 cents to make that, according to some estimates. 3 cents. These are now sitting at roughly 2.5% copper and 97.5% zinc. So why does it cost 3 cents to make 1 cent? And is that a mark where we need to no longer consider making our pennies? Well, that's a great question. So over time, obviously we've had some inflation and things like that. Even the zinc has gone up enough to make these a lot more expensive to make than they used to be. And here's another issue. When we crank out, just in the Denver Mint in 2024, 1.5 billion of these things, and in the Philadelphia Mint, we sit there and crank out 1.712 billion of these things, 3 cents a piece. That adds up to a lot of money. So a lot of people are trying to convince people in power that the penny, like many other nations have done, should no longer be a part of issued currency. That's very interesting, and I wonder what it means for copper. As you see here, I have a variety of copper. 5 ounces of copper, gotta love that. Some cool custom pieces poured by the Broke Stacker. We have a Geiger piece, a bunch of pieces back here, trade units, obviously some historic pieces. There's a lot of cool copper stuff out there that might be worth your attention, because this right here, this is an ounce, and it usually runs around $2, which is a lot more than what copper is worth from a commodity trade standpoint. But it's a cool thing, not only from a beauty standpoint, because I figure that copper is probably, in my mind, the third most beautiful metal. When it comes to luster and all that kind of stuff, it does, over time oxidize and like this and kind of turn more brown, but it does start very, very shiny, as you see. Gorgeous. But yeah, I'd have silver number 1 just from a luster standpoint, gold number 2, copper would be my number 3, and then probably going into platinum after that. Neither here nor there. So basically, we have this stuff, and we have the ability to buy this stuff. The question is it worth it? And with the way that the penny is going, if it becomes extinct, does that increase the value of 100%, or not 100, I believe they're 90%, copper pennies in the marketplace? Does that mean that pennies like Indian heads or wheat pennies go up in value from a collector's standpoint just because we no longer have them? That's possible. What I'm wondering is what this will do to the market of copper in general, because as you know, the U.S. Mint would be buying a ton of copper if they're putting out 2.5 billion coins, maybe even 3 billion coins, I haven't done the math, that are copper based. But even beyond that point, what's happening in the global community with copper? As many of us know, China, for example, is increasing its fingerprint when it comes to copper. They went to Serbia, which is one of the strong places for copper, and put a ton of money to kind of put their foothold in the copper market within Serbia. They obviously have it already in other places like Africa. So it'll be interesting to see what this means for the copper market. Obviously, with the way home building is in the United States, which is an explosion right now, we're seeing copper being used within any home site, be it commercial or residential, and I assume that our interest rates will be going down here in the next year or two, which is going to once again pop up the demand for houses, because we're in a lull right now. There was an economic boom during COVID. People were moving. Interest rates rose the last couple of years, so there was a little bit of a struggle, but now we're going to hopefully get to a place where those interest rates drop again, which means construction and copper. So I don't know what the future holds, but I did hear recently that there is some debate with the efficiency in the government that might be calling for copper to be no longer used for pennies and or to lose pennies, because even the zinc has become outstandingly expensive. So that's kind of where we're at. We have lost, in fact, I think it was, the number was around 179 million just in 2023 to make the pennies. And if we were to save that money and hopefully not just do what government does and allocate it for their next project, maybe that would be a potential good. I don't know. What do you think? Do you think that the pennies should stay, should go, should be manipulated somehow to be more streamlined and profitable? You let me know, because I'm kind of on both sides of the fence here. I love the fact that we have them, but I do love the fact that not having them makes the lives of Americans potentially better. So I'm not positive about how the cause and effect would go down the line when it comes to minting, when it comes to manufacturing, when it comes to jobs. I'm not positive on that. But what I do know is I loved having the penny growing up. I think it's a cool thing. But if it does make people's lives better for generations to come, maybe it is worth considering that it is no longer offered by the U.S. Mint. So that is something on the table. I know the $100 bill is another thing that's starting to get a little bit of debate, obviously. So interesting movements for our friends in copper. But that is what I have for you today. Please let me know your thoughts down in the link below. And please remember to stay classy and current with the culture of currency.